Hello, friends. Host Eric here, host Talking with Famous People, and I would like to talk about today something I read about ENTPs a long time ago and how it relates to that type and also other types, which is I read early on in my study of ENTPs, or I just sort of Googling it, whatever, that we have a hard time understanding how other people feel about us. And my immediate reaction to that was, that's completely bullshit. But tellingly, my immediate reaction was, that's completely bullshit, because I thought in my head, I was thinking, I imagined myself successfully reading a room, like a classroom or a performance, as how people are reacting to my performance. But that's not what it means. And it shows you how little I understand the thing that it's talking about. It doesn't mean being able to read people's reactions. It means being able to understand what it means to value somebody. That's persistent. It's not a reactive thing. I'm very good at knowing how you feel about me in the moment. I'm very bad about knowing how you feel about me overall. And I don't know what it means, like, because somebody said, your friends, probably the community in general, they would like to see you end up with the right woman. And when people say that shit like that to me, it makes me really emotional, because I think it's fair to say that I genuinely don't understand. Like, I don't trust feelings at all. If the only way I know you like me is that you're showing it to me and you're telling me about your feelings, I don't trust that at all. I want to know that you've got self-interested reasons for being with me. I want to know that there are practical, concrete benefits that I and you can both point to that make it advantageous for you to be with me. And I want us both to know that if you break certain rules, like if you cheat or something, that there are going to be bad consequences. As though that would ever control anybody. It won't, but that's so dumb, but the thing is, what I really want from a relationship is a life partner whom I can make happy, whom I can value. And the thing about being FE means I'm concerned about how much others value me. But having in the third slot with FI in the seventh means that I can't understand it as an individual process, really, of valuing. I know I value people around here. I know I value Neptune. I know I value Susie. I know I value Jacob. I know I value everybody in this room, really. And yet I know I value them differently. Like, there are different degrees of valuings. I don't know Steve very well. I've talked to him a couple of times. He's new to me. I mean, he's been here more than he seems to be on in times when I'm not here a lot. And when he is here, I haven't really talked to him a whole bunch. So obviously, that's part of our relationship process. Is over time the value increases. But I don't understand how that relates to feelings very well. So I know I have feelings. I don't exactly know what they are. And I don't know why I would bother paying attention to them exactly, because what am I supposed to do with them? So when somebody tells me, like, people in the community would like to see me happy, and the reason is because they care about me, they value me, and there's a certain element of, well, can't you see that people like you? Can't you see that person, that you're important to that person? And I can't put myself in their shoes and go, what does it feel like to feel that? Because even if I could feel it, I can't imagine what it's like to make any decisions based on it. So it's very hard for me to trust it to be meaningful. And of course, I do make decisions on who I value more than anybody. I make those kind of decisions all the time. I make decisions about what to do based on who I value more. But I don't know that I'm doing that. I don't think. I mean, I know that I'm preferring. I know I'm like, well, you're important to me. But I can't picture it the other way around. I don't know what it would be like. I mean, for me, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, can you help me with this? I'm probably going to be the same responsiveness to that, which is probably going to be, yeah, of course, for most people. And then the other setting is, you piss me off. And then I just don't respond to you at all. I just don't look at your text. I don't look at it. I just don't. You cease to exist because you are the source of a problem that is not, that's no fun. If you become a problem that's no fun, then that's it. But for the rest of people, I mean, I think I'm generally pretty much try to be the same amount of niceness or whatever to everybody. I would hope, but I don't know. That's the thing. It doesn't make any sense. You can't pin it down to mean anything. So that's the problem that ENTPs have with individual relationships in general, and why we want them so well defined. I do know that I value you. I don't know what that means. I won't know how much I value you until after I fucked it up and you're left forever. Then I'll know how much I valued you. As far as how much you value me, I understand it almost entirely through, well, how much do I have you situationally pinned? Like, how reliant are you on me? I trust that more. Well, you're gonna have a hard time leaving because you don't have a job and blah 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 blah. So I can trust that. And if you really want to leave, then you're gonna have to go through my process, which is we're gonna talk it to death until we're both convinced it's the right thing to do. And if you cheat, you go out in the street, and I don't care if you're homeless. I want you to be homeless.
Wait, so if they think that it needs to end, but you don't, then you think that they don't really have grounds to leave
Well, then no,
necessarily?
I think that we need to talk it through. We need to do it the right way, like I did my last marriage, right? We split up.
So it has to make logical sense, not emotional sense. There can't just be no feelings,
No,
and
it can
that's it.
make just emotional sense, but you are required, if you're in a long term relationship with me, you are required to exit it fairly. And that means you have to at least spend some time talking with me about it and talking with a therapist. You can't leave because you're cheating and think that that's an acceptable way to leave. You can't leave me for somebody else. That's not acceptable. You have to leave and end up single like the other person does. That's the only fair way to end a relationship. And if you don't end
I
it
mean, I
fairly,
think all they owe you really is to explain it. I'm echoing hardcore.
all
But
they owe me is what?
all they owe you is like being honest, really, about how they feel, and then
They owe
they're
me
free to exit
fidelity.
whenever. Like
They are
relationships always have an exit sign.
they
Everyone
are
knows that.
required, however, to end it with me before sleeping with somebody else. Otherwise, it's cheating. If
Oh
it,
no, I'm not disagreeing with that.
if
I'm
it's
just talking
cheating,
about.
you get zero cooperation from me in terms of the split. In other words, your shit is
Well,
dumped out in the
cheating is
street.
already dishonest. So
Yeah, but I mean that my
that was
point
my
is
point.
that I feel more secure knowing that the woman understands that if I catch her cheating, I will literally dump all of her shit in the street and never speak to her again and hope she ends up homeless. That seems more reliable to me than she likes me. But that I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that this is a good way to go about relationships, okay? I'm just saying because I don't trust feelings, that's how I end up being. And I'm not actually a jealous person either. That's the thing. I'm not jealous. I don't check up on my chick and make sure she's not fooling around. I trust her. That's why it has to be like that, right? I completely trust that woman who's my mate. And so I don't if she goes like, "Well, I'm going out to do blah blah blah," and it I'm going to assume it's totally innocent as its fault. She has to be blah blah blah. Has got to be pretty shady sounding for me to be like, what are you doing? I'm assuming she's on the up and up. If she then is actually cheating and that kind of dishonesty, then she deserves the consequence, which I have said ahead of time, which is you get all your shit dumped in the street and don't ever speak to me again. And I hope you're homeless. That's fair because that's why it's fair because you make it very clear ahead of time that that's the consequence. And you remind her again and again until it's driven home that is exactly what will happen. I'm not doing it, right? I'm not doing it unless what? Unless she cheats first. So what's the problem with this thing? If I do that, it's the problem is not that I did that. The problem is that she cheated. I'm not going to cheat. I'm cheat proof. Why am I so cheat proof? Because I hate this shit. I hate picking up on chicks and stuff. That makes me cheat proof. It seems awful to me. I just want to lock the shit down. I don't want to waste my time doing that stuff. That's why I'm cheat proof. Because I genuinely don't like dating. It's a pain in the ass. So, yeah, so she needs to be cheat proof too. If she cheats, she deserves whatever. And
Yeah,
if she
yeah, I
thinks she
never.
might cheat, then don't be with me at all. Then just make that clear up front. Yeah, those are the only possible choices you got. What complicates is if you got a kid with them and they cheat on you, then you're fucked. You can't just turn the child's mother into a complete pariah and shit on her as completely as you ought to, you know? Because she's your child's mother. You gotta wait a while. But justice, karma has a way of exacting its own justice when you don't do anything. My first wife's her life was totally fucked up. Taylor's first wife, her life's totally fucked up. I don't think she cheated though. That doesn't count. Never mind. She didn't cheat. So that's not relevant. But the point is she fucked up anyway. She was crazy and unbearable and whatever. The point is fucking be serious. Be serious. A relationship should be all about the mutual affirmation process. And however that manifests. It might be words, might be physicality, might be whatever. But it's about valuing each other. And respecting each other. And knowing that you wouldn't ever be happier choosing an alternative. I want it to be like that. I want to know that. I would never be happier choosing an alternative. Yeah, well, that's what this is all about. Is the ISFP lady sort of fell through. The reason she gave me, I don't know if it's true or not, is that this other thing's getting more serious. And anyway, it's frustrating because, mostly I'm frustrated because how much, it's like, okay, she slept with me. She indicated clearly at the end of that, she was like saying, her exact words were, "I'm up here a lot. Yeah, I'll see you next weekend." So it was pretty clear that, okay, this I can expect this to be fairly regular. Then she had got some shit went down at work where she was like, somebody dropped a spot. They needed to fill a spot, a late fill for a trip to South America to do medical shit. She's in nursing, and so then I didn't see her for a while. And so I'm trying to continue to maintain contact with her. I'm doing the legwork, of making sure that that's still cool, and she knows that I'm the right amount of giving her occasional attention without being obsessive or weird at all. So balancing that shit just right. And then she comes back in town, and I'm finding, why am I having a hard time getting her over here? And I'm still doing that. And then finally, yesterday, is the time when, at that point, she should either be up in Temple City this weekend, or there's a problem of some sort for sure. There's not any more naturally occurring barriers that could be in the way. And she says, well, Eric, I've kind of got this, I need to figure out this thing with this guy who's not my boyfriend, but maybe, I'm not sure if he is my boyfriend now. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks anyway, thanks for clarifying. But the thing is, if this was something that she was aware of a while back, then that's a lot of fucking metaphysical energy devoted towards that, right? So there's been like this period of a couple of weeks between sleeping with her and expecting to sleep with her again and not being able to, and sort of metaphysically understanding, okay, I'm making progress on this larger project of getting those needs met consistently. And then it's just, it made no progress on that project. Is it good that I slept with her one time? I guess, but that's not the thing. That's not my outcome that I'm looking for. I don't need to ejaculate into a woman one time, or into a condom into a woman one time, but I need to lock something down that's regular and solves the issue, so I don't have to think about it anymore. I need shit to be defined. As long as it's undefined, I'm just going to be frustrated. I'm going to be frustrated because I have no meaningful solution to this. It doesn't require ongoing work, like doing the dishes, like doing the laundry. No, I don't like tasks like that. Tasks need to be projects instead. Projects, not tasks. You complete a project. You never complete tasks. You just finish them temporarily until you have to do it again the next day. There's no point in telling her that. I had no expectations. I mean, I'm not entitled to expect anything. It's not that kind of relationship. It was specifically a casual relationship. It's not like I can bitch about it. The only thing I can bitch about is, couldn't you have told me this sooner? To which she'd probably say, well, I wasn't sure. She ended it in a final way. I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, I guess she did, but I don't know if it's ended in a final
Yeah.
way.
No, but the explanation kind of there's no point in discussing it.
Oh yeah, there's no point in discussing it, right? The only point in discussing it would be for me to say, okay, look, if that's not an accurate description of this thing, can you please explain to me what I did? So not because I'm trying to get on you, but rather I'd like to know for future reference for other chicks. That would be that's actually something I would like to say to her, but I'm not probably going to just because I don't need to make her any more uncomfortable than she is. I don't know what she's uncomfortable about, but I don't need her to force her to walk through it. So whatever it may be, it could be what she said. I don't know. So that's the thing about FI valuing. FI means to value another person. I know what it means to value another person once I have them locked down and defined. Until then, I can't value anybody because I don't know how. And when shit's not locked down and defined, I am forced to rely upon how much you value me. I can't tell that either. I can tell whether you are giving me symbols or signals that suggest that I'm allowed to get on you, but I can't tell I don't know what that means besides the fact that you're letting me get on you. Like, for example, with the ISFP, it didn't mean anything. It just meant that she let me get on her at that time. With somebody else, it may mean I love you. I don't know. So that's the problem. I can think of countless possible explanations for things that. Right. I know Jacob's saying the same thing right now. He's saying, I know myself that my NE can expect all kinds of scenarios unless someone pins us down. Well, that's the thing. I have no idea what you mean or what you think about me until you tell me and you let me pin you down on it. And then we're not talking about your feelings really anymore because you can't pin down feelings. That's why I don't like them. I don't think that we should make so many decisions on them. It makes sense to have a logical decision to be in a relationship with somebody. Say, look, here's why this makes the most sense for us to be in a relationship, and list a bunch of pros and cons, including emotional stuff. Like, I'm very loving. I actually am a very loving person. I am super positive to the woman about herself. I never say anything like, you need to diet or whatever. She's always gorgeous to me. And I tell her that she should do whatever the fuck she wants. That's my basic rule, is that the woman, like me, should adhere to our understood relationship definition, and within those bounds, do whatever the fuck we want. And enable each other to do whatever the fuck we want. And do it together. Well, yeah. I mean, I brought that trap thing up as an example of how it manifests unhealthily. I'm actually quite trusting, and I don't. Once I'm in a relationship, the thing that makes me be more like that is a lack of definition. What, what I react to uncertainty with trying to control. I react to certainty with letting go. And it's kind of like a credit thing in that you have to have credit to get credit kind of thing. But absolutely, if an individual displays the nature and behavior consistent with one I can trust, then obviously I understand that stuff's stupid. It doesn't work is why it's dumb. That's why it's dumb, because it's like I'm never gonna follow through. I can make a big fucking scene about it, but I'm never gonna follow through and actually dump her shit in the street and not care if she's homeless. I'm still gonna care if I loved her in the first place, even if she cheated on me. I'd still care enough to, I don't know, I mean, I wouldn't be nice about it, that's for sure, but I wouldn't wish ill upon her, and I'm not actually controlling. Anybody who wants to leave a relationship, they should be able to leave the relationship. But it is true that you can treat other people fairly or unfairly. So, if you're going to leave me in a way that lets us have closure, that lets us both feel like good about it. I mean, look, there's never been a woman who hasn't left me yet. So, I expect it. It's fine. I get it. You're going to leave eventually. It's fine. But when you do, let's do it right. Let's make sure we've... The thing about leaving me is that the other individual is going to discover that I want to pin shit down in the leaving too. Well, why are you leaving? Okay. Now, I propose these various solutions to that problem. Are they inadequate? Why are they inadequate? Okay, fine. If they're not inadequate, then okay, that's not really the reason. It's a real reason just that you don't really like me anymore. That's fine too. But then say that. I need to know the actual reason. Not just we're gonna play a bunch of fucking games and explain shit that doesn't make any sense. People say reasons for things that make no sense at all the time. And they don't care. I mean, that's right. It's not you, it's me. It's not a reason to leave me. Not that anybody said that to me particularly, but I want to actually hear what it is about me that you don't like to cause you to leave me. I want to actually hear that question answered. I will tell you what I don't like about you. But they don't know. That's the thing.
This whole thing you're saying about people saying things that don't make sense and all that, like in Enneagram, the head and the heart gap is the biggest gap. It's the hardest one to bridge. So like the gap on the diagram 4 to 5 is like the largest one, and that's because people's hearts often don't meet their mind in a reasonable way at all. Like it's just the way things. I know it sucks that it's the way things are, but it just really is the way things are.
Okay, well, I think we can all at least attempt to commit to doing things better. For example, it used to be the way things were that men would beat their wives all the time. And it would just be sort of, well, I'm sure she had it coming. It's not like that anymore with good cause.
But that's like physical action. That's like a different realm.
Okay, but I mean, it used to be that women couldn't vote, for example. And the relationship between men and women back then, I'm sure, was much more, I'm the boss and you're my woman. It was much less equal, I have no doubt. And I'm sure everybody said, well, that's just the way things naturally are. Well, I don't think, it's like, yes, we have our feelings, and yes, they can conflict with our thinking sometimes, but then that's resolvable. There's a reason there's a gap there, and we can resolve it by understanding ourselves better. If your feelings should go right along with your thinking, if your thinking is incorporating all the right factors and is being fair with yourself, and then your feelings will follow along, because feelings don't know what they're doing, so you just have to tell them what to do.
I mean, have you ever disliked someone, but you had no reason to dislike them? You're like, I don't know why, I just can't stop disliking them. They're a good person, they didn't do anything wrong, they're being genuine, but I don't like them.
Yeah, I've had that experience.
So, I don't know, it's pretty simple. Just put that under a microscope and think of all the different ways that can manifest in human relationships.
Fine, but you still have to be able to tell me that. That if that's the reason, then you need to be able to tell me that reason. I'm not trying to condemn feelings as invalid reasons for things. I'm saying if your real reason for something is a feeling that is entirely based on things not related to me or what I'm doing or anything like that, and if it's completely arbitrary, then say that.
No, but you were saying that it kind of has to make like reasonable sense of it. Yeah,
That
they
makes
can't
sense.
just say no. But you were saying that they can't just be like, I don't feel like that with you anymore. You can't just leave me like that. It's not fair. You have to go through therapy
You have
and
to
shit.
tell
And
why, yeah. But if that's why, then that's fine. That's a good enough why. But say that, because why does it matter that I hear it from them? Because it defines what happens thereafter. So after we split,
it just sounded like communication wasn't the only thing that you valued there. And honesty, it sounded like something else, kind of. But
well, here's what I'm valuing also. After we split, now when you come talk to me about something, if there's a conflict, it's probably going to be resolved simply by saying, remember, your reasons for leaving were completely arbitrary. We agreed on that. That's why it matters. Who wins the after? Who wins the divorce? It matters. Whether it's a breakup or a divorce or whatever. Who wins the narrative is the only thing that really matters. I will always win the narrative.
I mean, that's so weird to look at romantic relations as winning or losing. Like, I don't know.
They absolutely are. It's a matter of who's perceived as unfair and who's perceived as fair. And it's a matter of who has leverage and who has none. She has no leverage. Why? Because I totally won all the narratives.
No, I get that. I'm just saying that going into things with that mentality seems a little bit like...
I don't mind if you leave me unfairly.
I don't have reasons why. But...
I get that you can leave me unfairly, and that's totally your prerogative. But you may not leave me unfairly and have it portrayed as anything other than you leaving me unfairly. And having it portrayed widely and broadly as such. Now, if you
that's a whole different thing. Like if they're advertising
me fairly,
like, if you were scum of the earth or something.
If you leave me fairly, that means you don't get to be unfair ever again because you've left me fairly, which means you've pinned down for me the reasons I can reference later. You can't be unfair later because you've been fair initially, so you've told me the truth about why you're leaving, and so every outcome, everything we need to adjudicate going forward, then it can be logically deduced from what we've established as why the split is occurring. So there's culpability. It's like a traffic accident.
This is like so strange to me though, because you said on multiple occasions that like feelings are the opposite of logic or something like that, and then here you're telling me that they kind of like should align. It's just like
right, because
I don't know.
They should.
It's contradictory.
No, it's not contradictory. It's not. What I'm saying is that the problem isn't that feelings and logic don't align. It's that feelers lie.
Okay, that's a different.
But they don't even know they're lying because they've been trained that their feelings aren't valid in and of themselves, that they have to give logical justifications for things. And then the problem is they give logical justifications for things that are bullshit. And most of the time, they've learned to do it successfully enough to get away with it. They never get away with it with me. That can't possibly be the reason.
Okay, I see your point there now.
And then eventually, you get to the fact that I don't like you anymore. Oh, okay, well, that's a good reason to leave. Finally, you gave me a good reason to leave. I used to tell Candace, please just tell me that you want a different man. Like, you're not the man I want, Eric. I want to be in a relationship with a man who's different than you, who's like X and Y and Z. That would be a fine reason to leave. She wouldn't tell me that because from her perspective, that made her feel bad. Like she was making me feel bad. Like she was attacking me. I was telling her, no, Candace, that's not an attack. That's a good reason to leave. You know? It's like, her thing was, No, Eric, it's not that I want to be with anybody else, because she's trying to be fair. And she didn't want to be with anybody else specifically, which was fair. She said, no, it's not that I want to be with somebody else. It's that I can't be with you anymore because you're such a problem. But you're the actual problem here, Candace. You're the one bitching all the time. You're the one complaining. You're the one who's not happy. I'm the one who's making all the effort, trying to fix things, trying to include you in things. Blah, blah, blah. I'm producing endless amounts of solutions. And you're playing yeah, but. Yeah, but that solution won't work. Yeah, but that solution won't work. Yeah, but that solution won't work. Why am I giving you solutions? Because the problems you're articulating can be easily solved. But the problems you're articulating are not actually why you want to leave. So I have no idea what the fuck to do. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Feelers lie. It's not their fault, though. They don't even know it. But see, look, I understand that she wanted to control the narratives because she mistakenly believed that she was qualified to do so. She was totally unqualified to make any decisions narratively, and she needed to just sort of hand over her will into my hands and let me manage the thing. She didn't know what the fuck she was doing. She thought she knew what was best for me. That's the worst thing of all. So what she needed to tell me was, Eric, there's nothing wrong with you at all. I just don't like you anymore because shit's gotten all fucked up. And I hate the fact that when I walk in the garage, you jump out of fear because you're doing shit you love, and I hate it. And I hate it for no good reason. I hate it just because you drank so many years that I hate you. So I'm leaving. That's a good argument. It's a damn good argument. I agree with that argument. That doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Because that points out the fact that I made this bed. Now I'm going to lie in it. It's my fault. I accept that. That's fine. Then it actually is my fault. If you're telling me it's my fault for reasons that are not my fault, that's not okay. It's your fault because you didn't put your underwear back in the... you didn't put your underwear in the hamper. You just left it on the floor in the bathroom. That's not a reason to leave somebody. That's not a reason Candace gave me, but she gave me equivalent style reasons. You know, she kept coming up with specific examples of why she was leaving me with no actual overarching framework or explanation. And none of the examples were anywhere close to things that you lead people over. Like not taking off your sunglasses. Your wife is not a reason for your wife to leave you. That is one of the reasons she gave. That's what I mean by feelers lie.
And get yourself a nice DJ.
Hey, Casual. What's going on, dog? What's going on, diggity dog? In which video? Let's see. I'm serious in every video. I'm the most serious guy in the world.
Super serial.
Super serial. And look, audience members, you know who's the most serious audience in the world? It's you. The Talking with Famous People audience. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.